fun. So we are outside of Cortland, like just a couple of miles. This is Pond Spring, the General Joe Wheeler home. I don't know if they'll let me film in here, but if they won't, I'll just turn it off, but I can show you the outside.
And the grounds. It is beautiful.
It is. It's amazing. There's some structure over that way. And it's a house and a house. Like, this is a big old place. Look at this brick walkway. This is amazing. Wheeler had a nice house, y'all. The Wheeler family built the main house structure around 1870. General Wheeler, a native of Augusta, Georgia, first passed through this area of North Alabama in 1863 during the Civil War. He and his troops crossed the Tennessee River and camped at Caledonia, a local plantation. There he met Daniela Jones Sherrod. A store in town was Sherrod, the recently widowed daughter of Caledonia's owner, Richard Jones. After the Civil War, Wheeler returned to Alabama and married Daniela in 1866. They settled here at Pond Spring, property from Daniela's first marriage. The Wheeler house is 2.5-story vernacular house type, common during the 19th century. Built in the Reconstruction era, it features Victorian architectural details. The exterior shutters were used to block sun while allowing a breeze to flow in. Windows with 2 sashes, as well as the home's high ceilings, helped to circulate the air. These elements kept the house cool long before modern air conditioning was available. According to folk tradition, the porch ceilings were painted blue to imitate the sky to keep bugs and nesting birds away. Inside, the furnishings, clothing, decorative arts, and military objects belonged to General Wheeler and his family. In 1994, the General's granddaughter donated 50 acres of land, the buildings, and collections to the Alabama Historic Commission. Pretty neat.
Pretty neat.
So this may be a video, this may be a snippet that ends here, but we'll see, just depending on whether or not they let us film it.
We can always give you a post-op.
We
with
can.
The facts we learned. General Joe Wheeler is very interesting. He was a young soldier in the Mexican War, and then was a Confederate general, I think in the cavalry. And then after the Civil War, he joined the U.S. Army again, and was in like the Spanish War.
Very cool. Hello.
How are you folks doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Not bad. Are you here to do a tour of the home?
We are. We would love to.
Is this your first time here to
Yes.
It
Pond
is,
Spring?
yes.
Where are you folks visiting from?
Columbus, Georgia.
Oh, okay, so not a bit of a ways away.
Yeah.
A little bit.
What brings you up here?
We went to Tupelo for a 5K for the Elvis Festival, and then we thought, well, I saw on the map that this was here, and I was like, oh, I love Joe Wheeler, so...
Stacey is my wife. She is a huge, very studious of the Civil War.
All right.
A little bit, and I'm really interested in Joe Wheeler, like how he was in the U.S. Army, then the Confederate Army, then the U.S. Army again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome to Pond Spring. I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of a background about the place before we go ahead and head on inside. Back in 1861. When Daniela Wheeler, General Wheeler's wife, inherited the property upon the death of her first husband, Ben Sherrod. At that time, it was around 1,700 acres. And then over the
Wow.
course of the years, through additional inheritances she made or had, as well as purchases she made and purchases her daughters Lucy and Annie made, at its height, Pond Spring was around 22,000 acres. Most of it was concentrated around here. They did have land out in Mississippi, Memphis, a few other spots, but most of it was right here. Up, stretched all the way up to the river where Wheeler Dam is at and Joe Wheeler State Park. That was Wheeler land at one time.
Wow.
The Jones family, Daniela's parents, they had a summer home on the mountain that stands between Cortland and Moulton. So part of that was Wheeler land.
Wow.
I'm not sure how far east it stretched or still stretches. The family still owns a lot of the land in the area, but this way, 7 miles, about 7 miles as a crow flies, is a Cortland airfield. That was built during World War II as a training facility for our Army Air Corps pilots,
Yeah.
and part of that was Wheeler land.
Wow.
Interesting. We just stopped in Portland.
Yeah, it's a nice little town. There's a lot of history there. There's unfortunately not a lot of business or anything like that. But they are trying to come back. So when the paper mill shut down 10, 12 years ago, that was not a good thing for the town. But the current mayor, I know her, she's doing her best to bring the town back. We get our name from a small spring-fed pond that's up there near the railroad tracks.
Fun.
It's been a gathering point for civilizations for centuries. When the state acquired the property, they did some archaeological digs in and around that area, and they found a lot of prehistoric artifacts, Native American artifacts. In fact, I don't know if y'all noticed those two big magnolia trees that are on the right-hand side, the right side of the drive as you're heading up.
Mm-hmm.
Just before, in front of them, is a very small hill, probably about that tall at its apex. It's a very small Indian mound.
Oh.
They found a few items in there. What we have here are 50 acres, and all the buildings and their contents that was donated to the state by Lucy LeGrand. She was the granddaughter of General Wheeler.
Wow.
She wanted the house to be continued to be used as a museum. That's how her aunt, Miss Annie, had set it up in the early 1930s, set up the first floor as a museum for her father. So at least the first floor of the house has been a museum for almost 100 years.
Wow.
What we have here, there are 3 homes here on the property, and of the 3, this is the baby of the family. This is only about 150 years old. I'm not sure of the style. I know I've read where some people describe it as Georgian, but it really doesn't fit into that. What it does have is a long interior hallways that have doors on either end that you can open up to create a draft during the summertime, both downstairs and upstairs.
Wow.
The house next door is known as the Sherrod House. Now, back in 1818, two gentlemen, Major John Hickman and Colonel Benjamin Sherrod, they both served with Andrew Jackson, Hickman in the War of 1812 and Sherrod in the Creek Indian Wars. Colonel Sherrod never lived here. His son Felix and his grandson Ben, who Daniela eventually married, did. But Hickman built this property, or this building here, about 1825.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Underneath all that siding, it originally is a 2-story log structure that had a dog trot running through the middle.
Oh,
Interesting.
wow.
Wow.
But Sherrod bought out Hickman about 2 years later, and he's the one who enclosed the opening there, the porch, the covered porch there.
Oh yeah, you can see it.
Porch,
Yeah.
yeah. Put the siding up to create the federal style home that we have there right now. And behind it, we can't see it from here, but when you all do a walk of the grounds, you'll be able to walk through it, is the original house here. It's called the Hickman Cabin. It's a little 2-room log structure with a dog trot. The west room is the original building that was here. This is the first building that was built here. Maybe 1818 from when Hickman moved here, but we found a lot of evidence and through some digs over there that suggests that it was probably built by squatters. And Hickman had to kick off when he moved here, and it could be as early as 1813 or 1814.
Oh, that's so
Wow.
neat.
So Hickman added the covered porch and the east room about 1820. So we're just getting ready to wrap up the restoration on it. It's been whitewashed and got a few other things that needs to be touched up before we can move the furniture back in there. But you are able to walk through the covered porch and look into the rooms and
neat.
things
Very
like that.
cool.
Cool. We'll do that.
So
Neat. This is a very beautiful place.
in the springtime, that's when the flowers that Annie and her sister Lucy planted. That's when they start to come up and bloom. We get a lot of flowers here throughout the pass, down the driveway. So she was really into gardening. All these boxwoods that we're having issues with now because of that big freeze we had back in December.
Ooh.
These were planted by Miss Annie.
Wow.
They're well over 100 years old. So, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to save as many as we can. Some of them is kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Some of them are in good condition because they were protected, but others like this one took the brunt of sub-zero temperatures.
Yeah.
Any questions about anything out here before we head on in?
No.
I guess not.
I know he was reading the plaque down there in the front. Talks about why the porches are painted blue.
Right, yes.
So the birds are fooled. They think it's the sky.
Well, in theory, it sounds fantastic. It sounds like it works. The problem is no one told the birds or the insects. 'Cause you can see, I got mud dauber's nests.
Oh, yeah.
I now have 4 barn swallow nests on the back porch. They just added a 4th one in front of the gift shop. The other theory, and I've seen this originate in different places like Georgia, South Carolina, New Orleans, where the family lived for a while. This color is called haint blue. It's a derivation of the word haunt. And the theory is that this color of blue will attract and trap ghosts and spirits and keep them from going inside the
They
home.
don't get past the.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, when I was growing up in Texas, and I didn't realize this until I moved, I started working here, you would see homes with blue bottles hanging in trees in front of the homes with
Oh,
the
yeah.
openings hanging down. So the ghost can go up in there and get caught. There's there's another tradition of creating bottle trees where you just put bottles on top of the thing. But these, I believe, were specifically to keep ghosts out.
Any idea where they came up with the idea that that would work?
No idea. No idea.
I have heard of haint blue, but I've never really got to the complete story of what exactly it was.
But since I see birds' nests all over the place and I've yet to see a ghost, that may be the only way it actually works. Go ahead and go on in. You're more than welcome to take pictures inside. The only thing that we ask is no video, no flash.
Gotcha.
Okay.